Hello and welcome to the OMFL Atlanta Falcons review. I'm your host, Mike Fleury, and in this one we are going to wrap up the final 3 weeks of the season, week 16, 17, and 18, against the Buccaneers, Steelers, and Broncos, and talk about the playoffs. Spoiler, we did not make it. We went 2-3 down the stretch, which just frankly wasn't good enough. We missed by a game. Had we won 10, which if you followed me through some of these videos, you'll hear me often say 10 wins is a good season whether you make the playoffs or not. And 10 wins would have gotten us the South and all the wildcard spots, basically. Would have put us in battle for there, but more specifically, it would have given us the South. We didn't get that win. We lost to the Saints and Eagles. Nate came back down 24-7. The Eagles came back down 17-14. Just did not have what it took. The Buccaneers, we beat them narrowly, but then we played a stinker against the Steelers, and despite being back a game, Carolina managed to win just enough to tie us in the standings. They had the tiebreaker. So that ends our playoffs. That's all she wrote, basically. It's a little frustrating because we obviously had a very good chance. We were in control of our own destiny, but there are a lot of holes on this team, and I think truly the middle of the season was not indicative of how the team really was. After starting 1-3, that's okay. We got a lot of holes in the team. Not a big deal. I'm not trying to win this year. Then we get a win against the Browns. We lose in a sim to the Ravens. We beat the Buccaneers, the Bengals, the Bears. We lose to the CPU Rams, which, had I won this game, I'm in the playoffs. That's all there is to it. Then we beat the Saints and the Packers. So we have a stretch in the middle there. We go 6-2. Really kind of helps our season. We're in a playoff hunt. We can control our own destiny. But really, our team was not that good. Our defense was playing well above its head. At the end of it, I think our team rankings, I'm not going to be able to see them, unfortunately. I can go into the stats, but I think we're going to finish with like a top 8 to 10 defense. The last game is going to throw us off a little bit because we gave up a lot of points. We weren't really a high-scoring offense. We had our problems, but we only allowed the 9th most points, the 8th most yards. Like, we were a top 10 defense. Just our offense wasn't quite there. That's what made the difference. We started figuring it out. I introduced an entirely new playbook for the last game of the season. That was stupid of me. It made the final game, which I needed to win to have any chance, a lot more complicated, but it is a good way to see what I might be working with next season. So with all that said, I'm going to recap the last 3 games. Got a ton of work to do tonight. I got to do a bunch of game highlight videos. I've got to maybe write one more article, though I'm at 6, so I kind of like whole numbers, so I might not do that. And I got to film the last episode where I go over all the stats and talk about what I'm doing in the off season. So without any further ado, let's just jump into the Buccaneers game. My games against Tampa Bay have been some of the more frustrating games I've played. The defense in Tampa Bay is just so freaking good that I can't do anything offensively. Penix went 9 of 14, 141 yards, a touchdown. Robinson had 51 yards on the ground. Like, you look at the numbers, you look at the yards per carry, that's not so bad, but like, each drive has to be methodical, well planned out. There is very rarely an over-the-top play, so you're constantly taking check down after check down, and his defensive players are so freaking good. He's got real superstars out there, and then Vita Vea is just destroying any run game you try to have. It's so good and so frustrating, and it's a real challenge. It's maybe some of the most fun I've had in terms of like true chess matches, at least this cycle. Just constantly back and forth. I'm grinding to get every point. I was up 14-0 to start. He grinds back, gets it to, I believe, 14 all or 17-14, or I don't 100% remember the way the score worked out. But I just, when you only throw the ball 14 times and then you only run the ball 17 times, but on the other hand, he threw the ball 26 and ran the ball, looks like 12 more, give or take. So he had the ball a lot, very kind of methodically upfield, threw 2 interceptions, didn't have a great completion percentage, but he just seemed to be able to pull long drives, whereas mine it felt like they took a lot of time, but they weren't, like I had that time of possession, but I wasn't running a lot of plays, but I wasn't getting any big plays, so it was just a real kind of like make a move to set up another move to set up another move to hopefully set something up down the line kind of game. And it was fun. 6 sacks for me in this one. I don't remember that, if I'm honest. 2.5 from Benton, 1.5 from Ebiketie, 1 from Dorless, and then like half sacks for a bunch of other people. So my defensive line was fantastic in this one. But we get the win, and at this point, we desperately needed it because I believe we were tied. No, we were still 1 game up on Carolina. But that brings us to the Steelers game. So the thing with the Steelers is Penguins and I have played against each other for like 10 years now. We used to be in other leagues together before we came over here, played in the Deuce against each other, played obviously in this league against each other. Matchups happen far fewer than they used to when we were back in some of our other leagues, but our games are usually really good. And this game started that way. I took a 7-0 lead, tied it at 7. We go to halftime. But what that doesn't tell is that I had a drive near I believe the end of the second quarter where I'm marching upfield. It looks like I'm going to get some points. And then Tavita Little fumbles. And he hasn't fumbled all season. And I mean that literally. That was his first fumble. He gets clobbered on like the 3-yard line. Fumble. Then on a jet touch later on, Drake London, fumble. Then I'm still only down 3 in the third quarter. I have Pitts running corner route, and based on the play, he's cutting in front of Minkah Fitzpatrick, and somehow Minkah manages to make a play, warp around Pitts to get in front of him, intercepts the ball, pick six. Now the game is a 10-point game, and Penguins and I are defensive-minded teams that, like, we're going to struggle for points. And I'm marching downfield twice now where I should have had points, and now he's gotten 10 points where I probably should have had, 6 to 10 points. Just changes the game. The last interception was just on a throw up the ball kind of play. 4 turnovers. You can't play like that against Penguins, but it really felt like this was the kind of game where EA decides one team is going to get all the breaks and one team isn't. Penguins played great. You got to start right there. He played great. It had nothing to do with him. He was fantastic. But it really felt like this was one of those games where EA stops you from playing great to match, and had EA not gotten involved, had we just been able to play this game, I mean, I might still lose, but we'll never know. It was looking like an instant classic, like a really throwback defensive style. The passing team versus the running team. You wouldn't notice in the stats because he actually ran the ball more than I did. He had the ball more than I did because of all the turnovers. But it really seemed like we were going to get this back and forth, this really great thing, and then EA is just like, well, here's a fumble, here's a warp interception. There you go, have it all, and it ends the game. And it was really frustrating because I have so much fun playing against Penguins. It's always such a challenge. We've played great games going back so long, and we don't get to play them very much anymore. So when I got one, especially one that was meaningful for both of us, where I needed to win to help my playoffs chances, he needed to win to lock up a better playoff spot, and then just to have this be what happens to it, this EA nonsense, it's just unfortunate. But I look forward to playing him again because that should be a good game. I'll have time to readjust my lineup, and again, as I said earlier, I've introduced an entire new playbook because of this game. I decided I needed to make a change on how I throw the ball and how I run the ball and how I set up my offense. And, well, what resulted is the game we're going to talk about next, so let's just jump into that one. The game against the Steelers started kind of rough for me. As I said, starting a whole new playbook, I'm not used to some of these plays. I'm just trying to get a feel for them, and I'm making some bad reads. I throw some early interceptions. He is playing really well. He's up 14-7 after the first quarter. I can't stop his offense. I don't know what's happening. He scores 14 more. He scores 28 in the first half. And I'm down 28-21 thanks to some of the new plays on this playbook. Give me more options in terms of what I'm doing in the pass game. I'm trying to get more plays that give me more options on all 3 levels, as opposed to just, this is my deep play, this is my short play, this is, this one's for the tight end. I've gotten rid of all of those, and now I'm running an offense that is more like, here's my read, here's my second read. Kind of, I think Maniac explains that Dwayne reads defenses when he's on offense. He reads defenses top down. I'm trying to learn to do that a little bit better. Just kind of expand what it is possible for me to do, so that teams can't just shut down my run and call it a day. And I've been trying to do that at points all season, but I'm really, really starting to work my playbook to make myself a more dangerous, balanced offense. In this one, I ended up 4 touchdowns for Penix, 329 yards, only 56% completion, But again, I'm just learning some new plays. I'm trying to get a hang of new reads and like new route combinations. Still, and I got sacked 4 times. Sacks were huge, and I had 5 sacks. He had 4. Our offensive lines decided not to block. It was frustrating at times. But you know, we started figuring it out um, as the game went on, trying to get the ball into the hands of our playmakers. Unfortunately, Brian Thomas Jr. got hurt somewhere in like the third or fourth quarter. He went down. He's a big part of my offense because he's my focal point. I like to get him the ball. I really like to get him the ball in the like 5 to 10 yard range because his speed creates such nightmares that if I have him running, um, it really screws the angles and stuff. On the other hand, of course, when I send him deep and I throw him deep, you have to respect it, which opens up Drake London, which opens up Pitts and Moore, and you kind of have to pick your poison. So I like to get him the ball a lot, but he got hurt. We only threw the ball 23 times in this one. We only ran the ball 19, but we were down at various points. We battled back, got the game within 4, scored a touchdown. He scored a touchdown almost immediately right after, missed the extra point. Then I get this wild play where I hit Rondale Moore on like I think it was a post. I think it was a post. He beats his man, gets into the middle of the field, ton of space, juke. 4 players, 2 of his, 2 of mine, collide with each other. Now he's got nothing but space. Rondale Moore's fast. I don't use him a lot. I should use him more, but at 5'7", it's kind of hard to really do much with him in my base offense because my base offense involves a lot of like tight contested windows and having to be able to get a ball over top of a corner or in traffic. So unfortunately I don't use him very much, but he got one in this game. Crazy play, gets the touchdown. We intercept a pass at the end. I think Jerome Baker got it. Our only interception of the game. His offense was crazy good. Crazy good in this one. He had 120 yards, 121 yards to Carrington, 2 touchdowns. His rushing game was not bad. He didn't use it very much. He only ran the ball 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times, but he was running the ball pretty effectively. His pass game, 15 to 26, 2 touchdowns. That interception late. Bo Nix was a goddamn menace. But we were able to finally pull it out at the very end. I got to continue working on this offense. I got to continue learning my reads. And hopefully for next season, when I've built out the team a little bit more and a little bit better, this ends up in something that can really help me score some points. I'm like 26th or 28th in points this year. My 2 times with the Jaguars, I was much higher, but my offense doesn't work the same on this team. And instead of trying to build an offense that fits, or trying to build a team that fits my offense, which means scrapping so much of the team we already have, I'm just going to build an offense that matches the team and try to find a way to get people open and get people moving and get my running backs more opportunity and more yards. And that's just going to have to be how we do it. But that was it. That's the end of it. That's the end of our season. We missed the playoffs. Minnesota has the tiebreaker. So they'll clinch at 9-7. Even if they lose, they have the tiebreaker in conference record. And we tied with also Arizona at 9-8, and New York 9-7-1. Unfortunately, that means it goes to conference record, and Minnie has the best conference record. If it was just me and Minnie, I would win. But unfortunately, because Arizona was already at 9 wins, New York was already at 9 wins, we needed New York to lose. Um, we needed, I think, Detroit to lose, Chicago to win, because then Detroit finishes 9-6. Like we needed Arizona, like we needed a lot of losses to make it happen. Unfortunate, but that's where we are, and that's how we're gonna wrap up this episode, the second to last episode of the season. Um, this might just be a still capture over me talking kind of video. I have to still do all of the highlight videos, and I'm not sure if I will put this out before I have a chance to finish them and then put them in the video. So we'll see. Anyways, thank you for listening. I got 2 episodes coming out probably within a day of each other. So stay tuned for my final wrap up episode, which I got to start filming basically now. So for the OMFL Atlanta Falcons review, I've been your host, Mike Fleury, and as always, I'll try to do better next time.